Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 48 of the In From Japan podcast, the podcast where we talk about the latest news on Japan-developed games and other things in relation to them. Available on YouTube, Spotify, Podbean, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Music. As always, I'm your host, Errol Moss, with my co-host, the phenomenon from Suriname, Jason Corder.
Hey, hey.
And today we have a very special guest, Monti Velez of Uppercutcrit and other places.
Hello.
Yay.
Hi. Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited to talk about Japan stuff.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you here. We are super stoked to have you here.
Yes.
For the folks at home who may not know who Monti is, would you please introduce yourself?
Sure. Yes. Well, I am Monti. I am editor-at-large over at Uppercutcrit, a website where we spotlight the marginalized spaces in the gaming industry, whether it be the indie gaming space or the writing space. We try our best to sort of give that criticism view, primarily, if I can say that word, from people of color, disabled folks, and LGBT.
Nice. Well, Monti does incredible work at Uppercutcrit. Yes. So if you have the time and the interest, give her a follow and a read, and all the fine folks over at Uppercutcrit.
Yeah, our stuff is pretty fun. We have a new column from Grace that kind of deals with like religion and video games, which is really, really good. I look forward to it every single month.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
Going to start like we always do with the Japanese games we've been playing lately. So we'll start with our guest, of course.
Hey, that's me. Oh my gosh. Alrighty, so what the hell have I been playing in this blur of beginning of a month? So I definitely stayed up last night. I told you guys a bit beforehand, playing Yakuza 7. I've been doing a lot of side missions in that game. It's very fun. I tried replaying it since I finished it, and I am just too obsessed with that game, so I needed to take a break. But I went back into it anyway. But the other games that I have been playing, let me just make sure I'm saying it correctly. So it was Yomawari Night Alone, which is a little horror game. It's really, really cool. I love my little just cute horror Japanese games. They're just really, really great. I wanted to play the new remake of Mad Father, but I just haven't had that time. But that is next on my list after I get sick of Yakuza, which we will see when that happens.
If it does.
But yeah, that's kind of what I've been playing this month.
There's something I always find interesting about those like retro style horror games that like, I don't know, something about them is more interesting to me than like the more modern style first person horror games. It's like this, it has this like eerie atmosphere that I feel like other games don't necessarily imitate as well. Like it's not, I don't know how to explain it. There's something about them that I like specifically.
It's all due to visual direction and the perspective, because it's on a flatter 2D plane. Yeah. You have to convey terror and fear in a different way as opposed to being a 3D or first-person perspective. So I think that's where you're running into kind of this dissonance. And I also think because of it usually being kind of cartoony in aesthetic, it might give you a false sense of safety in thinking,
sure.
it won't be as scary as I think it is.
100%. Yeah. That cute shit gives me my security. That's why I love these little games so much. And I do, I agree with you, Jason, for sure. A lot of like I guess, I keep, anytime like I try comparing something, I'm scared of like sounding like a purist, but a lot of the 3D sort of like newer horror games, they tend to look all very similar to each other, even if they have like a different like combat system or like play style. they all look very, very similar to each other, and that bores me because I'm like, this just feels like a horror movie. Like I want to feel more like immersed into it. So I really, really like these 2D, these cute, these like different styled like little tiny horror games. I think they're so cool.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the horror genre when the found footage subgenre got started and everyone wanted to imitate that style. The same thing happened when PT launched and everyone kind of had that fondness for it because it got taken away from them. So everyone started kind of redoing PT with their own spin on things. So I guess that's what we're seeing.
I agree.
Okay, so I think I'll go next unless you have any other games you want to mention, Monty.
Oh, am I playing anything else? Is my brain gonna remember?
I think it's okay. It's okay if you're not.
Yeah, no. Those are kind of like my top 3 on my head right now that I'm trying to finish up. Next year's line, we're gonna see, because I'm very hopeful for the indie industry to sort of like pick up and get more stuff, because a lot of the indie games this year I unfortunately didn't really like.
Yeah, I kind of I feel like there were a few that I've really liked, but like for the most part I was like,
like it didn't like grab like my heart like they usually do. Like I know a lot of people are playing like Hades and stuff, and I'm just like, that's not really up my alley, unfortunately.
That one I do like, surprisingly, and I don't like the other Supergiant games much.
Really, I'm the exact opposite. I love Pyre because it feels like a dodgeball game.
Pyre I have not tried.
Pyre's
so that's a little different, but. But yeah, I kind of feel that with like, I see all these things for different indie games, and I'm like, well, I like these couple of things, but these other ones I just don't care for. I don't know. Shout out to Indie Pod. Go check out those guys over on Parallax Media.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I guess we'll move on to me. So I just bought the Taiko no Tatsujin Rhythmic Adventure Pack this morning, and I have the drum controller. So I was doing that, and so it has a weird bug where in the RPG mode, where you're going around like a map and you have turn-based battles using the drums, the blue rim does not work in the RPG mode, but it works fine in the regular Taiko mode. So I asked my friend, because my friend also has the controller and he has the Japanese version. I'm like, hey, can you try this? And he's like, oh yeah, I don't use the drum controller for RPG mode, so I'll try it out. He's like, yeah, it must be a bug because it happened to me too. But it's not the end of the world because I can use other controllers for the RPG mode and then just use the Taiko drum controller in Taiko mode.
Okay. Are you still enjoying it, or is it kind of this curiosity that you're scratching?
I mean, no, I played it. My friend showed me Drum and Fun last August, and we had a lot of fun with it. So I was like, yeah, I'll get the next one. And then the other thing is something on brand for me is that Taiko games usually have a Kamen Rider opening song, a Sentai opening song, and they've had Yokai Watch songs. So that's on brand.
Yeah, it's all coming up, Erroll.
Yep.
I wonder how it is playing it at home, because I've only played the Taiko games at like a round one or like at an arcade. So I wonder how that experience is at home.
The controllers are probably smaller.
For sure. Oh my god, imagine that. Having that giant
If only you could fit. Yeah, exactly. If only you could fit it inside your living room or bedroom.
A whole Taiko drum.
Yeah.
And then besides that, I've been playing more of Yakuza 7 or Yakuza Like a Dragon. I still just say 7 because less words. I'm on I just got to chapter 10 today. I made sure I did like the business management mini game to unlock a certain thing. I don't want to spoil anything for you, Jason, but so I was like, I don't understand how business management works. And then I got to the goal that you needed to get to unlock that thing, and I was like, now I understand it even less.
Yeah, that game is all just...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the thing about the mini games in the Yakuza series is they're very text heavy. So a lot of instructions, and sometimes you can get buried into or underneath all the rigmarole that kind of does that. It kind of fades away once you're really into the gameplay. But I can totally get why you might have trouble understanding what the goal is.
I mean, I understood what the goal was. I just don't understand how certain things with like making money and profit and the numbers, and I'm like, well, as long as I'm in the green, that's probably a good thing, even though I'm making less than I did the last time, and it was fine, yeah. But I'm like, I still don't understand what's going on. All I know is one of my employees is a chicken.
There you go. The most important bit of information.
But besides that, yeah, because I've been taking a break from Kamen Rider Memory of Heroes for a little while. Still plan on getting that platinum, because all I have to do is level up a couple characters and unlock all their skills. So I do have to go through the game like a few more times, but it's so easy now with all the different like little equipment power-up things that I've unlocked.
Okay, so it's kind of like busy work. That's all. That's just left to do.
And it's like, well, it's like I'll get the platinum eventually because I know how to, and like I get how everything kind of works now, and how like, oh, this is what they call it, because experience in that game is not called experience. It's called energy element for some reason. Maybe it's a weird translation thing, but I didn't know how to like see each character's experience to see how much they need to get to the next level. So I was like, where is it? And then it finally clicked. I'm like, oh, that's what that means.
Okay. Well, at least you're still having fun with it.
Yeah. So Jason, what about you? You seems like you've been playing a lot.
Yeah, I have been playing a lot. Well, not as much as I'd want to, but still a lot. I've played Yakuza 0 a bit. I'm also on chapter 10, where I thought I'd be at the end of the game. No, there are still like 4 to 6 chapters left. So, okay. On the one hand, I'm happy that I still have so much Yakuza to go through, but on the other hand, I was like, I thought I was done. But yeah, I digress. Still having fun. It's still super weird and super interesting. I just switched from Goro Majima to Kiryu. So if that says anything to either of you about the story, I don't want to spoil anything.
Oh,
but yeah, I'm still having fun.
You're not gonna spoil anything for me. It's a very, very fun game. So is this your first time playing it?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of. I played it like last year or 2 years ago, and I dropped off somewhere. I think around chapter 7 or 8, and I just picked it up this year because everyone was being hype about Yakuza 7, and I don't have a next-gen console to enjoy Yakuza 7 on. So I was like, okay, I might as well go through the series I already have, and not be wasteful or too wasteful with my money. So yeah, Yakuza 0 is my destination for the time being.
It's very good. You're at the point where it does really, really get good, and it picks up. It feels like a novella. Like that's what I like about them. It's just so much shit being thrown on the wall. It's great.
Exactly, and Goro's story, it goes places. Like I thought, well, the Goro I know is kind of this zany character, but going through 0, you kind of build him up as he goes, and the layers are just amazing. So I'm really digging that. Besides that, I've also been playing Tokyo Mirage Session Sharp FE.
Nice.
Yeah, I've been dying to play this ever since it came out on Wii U, and I never had a Wii U. So now that it's on Switch, I have a perfect excuse, and it was on sale, so double excuse. I'm really liking it. Like it got kind of in a review scores in the 70-ish range, but I'm really digging it so far. And I kind of want to do a comparison with another game I had to review had to, but I was supposed to be reviewing the Caligula Effect Overdose, and there are so many similarities with Tokyo Mirage Sessions, but there are so many things that Tokyo Mirage Sessions does way better than that other game.
Man, you do not like that game.
Wait, this is the game I wanted to play all along, not the other one. This is the one it should have been. Yeah, like all the systems that I know of Caligula Effect are more or less present here, but it's so much smoother, so much streamlined.
Wait, was Caligula Effect also Atlas?
Yeah, it's also Atlas, okay. And it's done by the creator of the Persona series, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, okay.
So with everything surrounding that game, I thought, oh, this is going to be a banger. This is going to be a home run. They have the creator. It's going to be about psychology. I like psychology. It's going to be a fantastic game. No, not really. One day I'll really get into why I don't like that game. But yeah, having a lot of fun with Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I'm also playing My Hero 1's Justice, the first one. And before anyone gets their pitchforks out about me playing an anime arena fighter, I'm doing it for research because I'm writing something. I have
a question about that. Why are you playing the first one specifically rather than the second one?
The second one improves on the combat systems, or so I've heard and read. But I can't really form a reference if I don't know what the first one is or how it plays. So I'm kind of going through the series to kind of view the evolution of the systems. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time to play the second game, but the first one, I like it. It's an anime arena fighter, if that says anything. The storytelling, I think, could have been done better because most of it is just a slideshow in comic book frame panels, which on the one hand is core to My Hero's identity as a comic book, like a superhero. It's not a satire. It's kind of like a homage to American superheroes, but done in manga, and it fits that. But it doesn't do the story justice. Then again, when it does go all out in its visual storytelling, I do get the hype moments. And besides that, I have been playing Dark Souls Remastered because, once again, no next-gen console, no Demon Souls, so I gotta get my fix somehow. I'm not that far. I did beat the Taurus Demon, and I have to fight an armored warthog, if that makes any sense. It's super hard. No, not super hard. You can get through it if you have patience and if you're paying attention. So I'm having a lot of fun with these games.
By armored warthog, do you mean like is he wearing like a little suit, or is he just like super like dense?
No, he was wearing a metal plated suit.
Oh, that sounds so good. Oh my god.
Yeah, it sounds good until you have to fight him, and then you're like, okay, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. He does have a weak spot, but it's his butthole. I don't know why his butthole is the weak spot.
Love that. Oh, that's so funny.
I have to figure out how to turn him around and attack his butthole. And I don't know what that says about me and about the game, but there we are.
I love that. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, so are you going to, Jason, for research purposes, do you think you're going to play the award-nominated One Punch Man game?
Stop.
I'm tempted, but maybe not. It does have some interesting ideas, but I don't think they fully justify being adapted to a full game.
Yeah.
Some chatter I've seen online, like a few tweets here and there, is that people would have liked to have seen the most recent Gundam fighting game be nominated. So I might give that one a try instead and see if that might have been deserving of a nomination. And there are so many other indie fighting games and other fighting games that probably would have deserved a nomination, but yeah, they are what they are. I can't really change any of that.
Oh, okay then. Alright, so we're gonna move on to the In From Japan J-List, where we talk about recent video game related entertainment news. And first we have new Mega Man Battle Network and Mega Man X figurines announced, and this has to do with stuff we talked about last week, I think, right, Jason?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is part of the Mega Man Battle Network merchandise that they're doing, and there's like a figure of Mega Man with a cyber sword. They're the Kotobukiya figure, so they're like the good quality like model kits. And
yeah,
there's a Dark Mega Man variant model that I don't see a date. And they're in development, so there's no date for them yet. But it's cool that they started putting out the merch for Battle Network now. In some Tokusatsu news, we got a couple more Ultraman series on the Shout Factory TV website and other apps where that is. So we got Return of Ultraman, Ultraman Orb Origin Saga, and Ultra Fight Orb. So that's great. I always love more Ultraman. And then we have, well, this was big movie news, but there was a specific thing. So every 2021 Warner Brothers film is to debut on HBO Max and in theaters at the same time, which includes Godzilla vs. Kong, so that's great for me. And then I'm just getting through these stories real quick because we have a lot of news. And then the last thing was that Godzilla comics are coming from IDW. That was just like a Twitter thing that I saw. And then, Monty, I have a question for you, because me and Jason were arguing about this at the end of last week's podcast.
What's going on?
Even though I'm right, because the votes, when I put the poll on Twitter, it was 100%. Everybody voted. The 16 people who voted yes.
Totally scientific. Scientific.
So is Clifford the big red dog a kaiju?
Oh, what the fuck kind of question is that? Is Clifford the big red dog a kaiju?
I say yes, technically. Jason says no, technically.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm guessing depending on size, but I'm remembering Clifford. This was like one of the shows I watched as a kid that I could like relatively understand because I didn't speak English.
Yeah.
That fucking dog was huge. That was the size of like a 3-story house.
Yes, but so the thing about kaiju is kaiju doesn't necessarily mean giant. It just means strange beast, and I believe, and if and you know, a big bright red dog that's 3 stories tall, that's pretty much by definition a strange being.
That is a strange being. I'm sorry, Jason. That is really weird. That is a weird.
But the thing about, there's also Dai Kaiju, which are the big. So while Godzilla is a kaiju, he'd also be considered a Dai Kaiju because he's like huge.
The thing I read on Wikipedia, which by all accounts isn't also the most scientifically accurate resource. A kaiju can be a giant monster, and a Dai Kaiju means great monster. It doesn't have to mean great in size, but it can mean great in stature. He or she or they have great significance.
Well, because I'm kind of going by like how Ultraman, like, just because something is a kaiju, that doesn't mean it's huge. That's it.
Sure, but I would,
because some people might say like, "Oh, Clifford's too small," and it's like, I don't think so.
the thing I'd say for the kaiju debate is it perceived as a threat?
I don't think. I mean, a kaiju doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be perceived as a threat, but yeah, some people are afraid of Clifford in some of the, if I remember correctly, in some of the books.
But a threat on a national level.
I mean, I don't know. We'll see when the movie comes out, okay?
Is the whole of the United States of America afraid of Clifford the Big Red Dog?
Oh, for sure, they're going to be. Americans are scared of everything.
Okay, that's true. Pretty bad example on my part, then.
And that's the other thing. Like all these like Ultraman or any show that have to do with kaiju, they're usually self-contained. Well, not always, but like they'll be self-contained in one city specifically, depending on what movie or series you're watching.
Yeah.
So it's like the people in like for example in Ultraman, the people in one city might be familiar with kaiju attacks, like they had them in the past, and then they just started getting them again recently. Or in another series, it could be like they've never had them before, but they started getting them recently for whatever reason. So
sure, but I'd still, I might be losing this battle, but I'd still hold true to the criteria I said that
You're valid,
a kaiju would have to be.
It is a valid point, but I still believe Clifford the Big Red Dog is a kaiju. Let me make my PBS Kids cinematic kaiju verse a reality, okay?
Oh, look. If I look at the thing and I want to pet it, I don't count it as a kaiju.
You don't want to. Well, if you try to pet Godzilla, you might get a lot of radioactive poisoning.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to pet Mothra?
No, I don't.
Mothra looks very soft. What do you mean?
Yeah.
No. I don't trust a bug that big.
Well, the old Mothra, Legendary Entertainment Western Mothra, that thing does not look soft.
Oh my god, wait, did I tell you guys? Oh, well, it's not Mothra, but it's a Mothman. I went to go see the Mothman statue in West Virginia on my way over here. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen that statue. I'll send you guys a picture later. But that thing
I know what Mothman looks like.
What's up?
But I know what Mothman usually is depicted like, but I don't know what the statue looks like specifically.
It's full on metal, like it's just all metal. It's very like pointy, very scary looking. The whole town is like themed for that Mothman specifically. But the funny thing about it is whoever sculpted that Mothman didn't cover his butt. So all you see is like he's just this Mothman just has like fat cheeks. If you like go around and like see like the wings from the back, you're like whoa, yeah. No, every time I think of Mothra, I instantly think of Mothman, and every time I think of Mothman, I think of his fat cheeks. And I needed to share that.
Okay, is Mothman also a Dark Souls boss? Because I'm seeing a theme here.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. He's probably in there somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah.
Alright, so let's move on to recommended content other than news from the past week listed out, links in the description. So we have Earth Defense Force World Brothers Team Organization and Character Change gameplay by Sal Romano, Gematsu via YouTube, the Men's Mental Health Forum by GameSpot and the Nerd Council. Mega Man X3's instruction booklet is the perfect 90s snapshot of Web 1.0 by Nadia Oxford for USGamer. I thought Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon and the Blade of Light would be too archaic. I was wrong. By Kat Bailey, USGamer. Interview Atelier Ryza 2 producer on why you should play Ever Darkness and the Secret Hideout first by Sam Watanuki over at The Gamer. How American Geeks Fell in Love with a Mascot for a Japanese Gaming Store by Bella Blondo over at The Gamer.
Wait, what mascot is that? I gotta see.
I forgot who it was specifically.
Oh my god, let me scroll down. It's just a girl with green hair. This looks very cute.
Yeah, it's from an anime series called Digi Charat.
Yeah.
That's really, really cute. Her hairstyle, though, looks exactly like one of the girls from When They Cry, the Hidagashi anime.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, wait, who is this? Nice, cool.
There's Is It Ethical to Date a Pokemon, also by Bella Blondeau, over at The Gamer.
Listen, we can just ask Ash's mom.
Yeah, no, she does mention that. System by System Guide to Getting into Imports by Graham Russell over at Michibiku. Puppets, Saturday Mornings, and Acceptance, How Bugsnax Helps Me Reflect on My Life by me over at Parallax Media.
Hell yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, I threw that in there. That doesn't have to do with Japanese games. Yes, it does. I talk about fighting foodons in it, and that was a Japanese game. So there you go. And then we have the Yakuza Like a Dragon review, Humanizing Me as an Immigrant by Monti Velez over at Uppercutcrit.
Wow.
And we're going to talk a little bit about that later. So yeah, go check all of those out. They're all great. Well, mine's okay, but
It's great. It's great, people. It's great.
Give yourself
It's
credit.
I did the edits. I can say it's great.
And now it's time for the news rundown, so I'll let Jason, the bearer of bad news, and our Shinigami take it away.
Yes, Bankai. Our first bit of news is Facebook has quietly started deleting previously uploaded pictures and videos from PS4. This is by DualShockers. Why you gotta do this to me? You can never see who writes these articles. Okay, I'll attribute this to the DualShocker staff. Oh, Logan Moore. They changed it. Okay. Sure. Fine, DualShockers, you win. Over a year ago, Sony abruptly announced that it would be removing Facebook integration from the PS4, meaning that users would no longer be able to upload screenshots or video clips to the social media platform. While Sony didn't explicitly say why the move was being made, the decision came about in the wake of new details being shared related to how Facebook gathered user information. Even though the two companies haven't since reconciled, it seems as though the situation has now gone on to become a bit more strange, even if most folks haven't noticed it. First spotted by some PS4 owners on Reddit, it looks as though Facebook has slowly started to wipe out any previously uploaded screenshots and gameplay clips that users may have uploaded in the past. Even though new pieces of media haven't been able to be uploaded since late 2019, anything that may have been posted to the platform prior to that time now looks to be completely gone. So you can click on article for a full breakdown. I'm guessing if anything had to be the cause, it's probably in the back end where they turned something off and now it's just finally starting to show and it's gone. It's kind of sad because a lot of great memories are from that era of PlayStation. Me, for example, I got into Destiny around that time and a lot of good memories.
Again, just a reminder to back up your stuff just in case.
Don't trust any corporation.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Digital stuff is always scary for sure.
Yeah. Next up, Vita PlayStation Store access interrupted. This is by Jenny Latta for Silicon Era. People are experiencing issues with the Vita PlayStation Store. Due to the PlayStation Store update that rolled out in October 2020, people are unable to access, download, or purchase games for the handheld via the browser-based version of the storefront. Sony's Ask PlayStation Twitter account and PlayStation support site haven't addressed the issue yet. People first began reporting the Vita's PlayStation Store problem on December 2nd, 2020. They would reportedly get errors with Noise Purge on Resetera compiling a list of 5 error codes they had seen online from people attempting to access digital copies of games via the storefront. 9 of 13, probably Kingdom Hearts fan, shared a link of Xenorexia's Reddit post, which listed workarounds to temporarily still access the old versions of the PlayStation Store's download list, which included Vita games. And within brackets, I can attest that the one for the PlayStation in the United States worked. Okay, and you can click on article for full details. It's a bummer. I mean, we don't want to admit it, but Sony's just slowly phasing out older platforms because newer platforms make more money, and sorry kids. Yeah, it's a bummer. But what do you gotta do? Okay, that was the bad-ish news, and now on to other news. First up is Final Fantasy XIV announcement showcase set for February 5th, 2021. This is by Sal Romano for Gematsu. Square Enix will host a Final Fantasy XIV announcement showcase on February 5th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time or 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the company announced. The broadcast will include live interpretation from Japanese to English. To quote, "We've got something else in store," the Final Fantasy XIV official Twitter account teased, and the quote follows, "We'll be announcing cool things." While Square Enix didn't share further information, the showcase is likely where it will announce the next Final Fantasy XIV expansion. The current expansion, Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, was announced in November 2018. The previous expansion, Final Fantasy XIV Stormblood, was announced in October 2016, and the expansion before that, Final Fantasy XIV Heavensward, was announced in October of 2014. The next expansion would have likely been announced at the FanFest originally scheduled for November, which was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic. If I had to guess, I think they might also sneak in a Final Fantasy 16 announcement. That's just me.
You think so?
Really?
Because I want Final Fantasy 16.
I don't think they would. I mean, what,
it's
a release date announcement or something?
No release date announcement, though rumors suggest it's 2021, but they did say that in the start of the next year they would share more info on Final Fantasy 16, so I'm guessing maybe, because it's kind of the same team, kind of the same production
that's true.
Executives or executive producers, so maybe. I'm hopeful. Give me hope. Square Enix, give me hope. Okay. Next up is Saga Frontier Remastered, announced for PS4, Switch, PC, iOS, and Android. This is by Sal Romano for Gematsu.
Okay, Jason, wait. Have I talked to you about this before? About what the Saga writing almost always looks like it says to me?
No, go ahead.
It looks like it says salsa. If you look at it a certain way, it's like look at the Saga Frontier thing. Yeah, look at how the G looks like an L and an S. Like in some other logos, they changed the G to look a little different, so it doesn't look like that. But in this specific one and some other ones, I'm like, they need to fix that because that looks like salsa.
Okay, we're never getting that Square Enix sponsorship now. Next up. In this article is Square Enix has announced Saga Frontier Remastered for PS4, Switch, PC via Steam, iOS, and Android. It will launch digitally in summer 2021 worldwide. Saga Frontier first launched for PlayStation in July 1997 in Japan, followed by March 1998 in North America. You can click on the article for an overview and a trailer. It looks good, though I'm kind of on the fence on the graphics, and I see some people say, "Oh, upscaled high-res images. That's what we've always wanted." And then I look at the character sprites, and I'm like, "Aren't they kind of like the Final Fantasy 5, 6 character sprites that y'all hated so much?" Okay, I'm kind of confused.
Since
but
it's not Final Fantasy, it's different.
Oh, like this is the lesser series. We'll be fine with this. We don't care. We're fine.
I did see some people on Twitter saying, like, well, why do they keep doing, like, these Saga games? Like, how come they aren't doing, like, Final Fantasy 4, 5, 6 or whatever? And I'm like, I don't know, give it time.
Sure. I mean, 4, 5, 6 have been ported to Steam and mobile, so I'm guessing they're kind of content with that representation. It'd be great if they'd be on current gen consoles and Switch as well. But I'm guessing Square is trying to diversify its portfolio a bit more. They don't just want to be known as a Final Fantasy house.
They also do Dragon Quest and Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, but they're capable of much more. And they have said that they're working on trying to make much of their back catalog or their library available digitally. So I'm guessing this is just them slowly inching closer towards that goal. So
just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, give it time.
Okay, yeah. So next story is The Good Life launches in summer 2021. The Irregular Corporation signs on as publisher. That's a great name.
Yeah.
This is by Sal Romano over at Gematsu. The Good Life will launch for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC via Steam in summer 2021. Newly revealed publisher, The Irregular Corporation, and developers White Owls Incorporated and Grounding Incorporated announced. There's an overview. I'd say go check the Steam page, because this is the one by Swery. That's who it was, yeah.
Yeah.
Hidetake's Sweet Hero. I get him mixed up with Suda51, not because their games are similar, but more just because they go by like a one name
pseudonym
thing. Yeah. They're both S.
And both their games are weird.
But this is the one where you get turned into a cat or something, and a bunch of people. You're solving a mystery where a bunch of people in a town.
Yeah.
I think you're trying to solve a mystery where a bunch of people in a town got turned into cats. And then I think you can also, at some point in your human form, you can also ride a giant cat. I remember seeing that.
This sounds like my shit. Oh my god.
I mean,
and you also do like photography too.
So it's kind of a
we
menagerie of weird stuff.
Transform into a cat or dog in order to unlock and use unique skills. Expand your area of exploration as you jump and climb nimbly around town as a cat, or track down villagers with your keen canine sense of smell.
Wow, what a life. Can't wait for that.
Okay, I guess.
What a good life. Oh, huh. And then, so be excited for that. 2021 is going to be probably a great year for games once again. Moving on, we have the Wonderful 101 Remastered version 1.03 update Wonder Size Cadet demo now available. This is once again by Romano over at Gematsu. Platinum Games has released the version 1.03 update of the Wonderful 101 Remastered, as well as the Wonder Size Cadet demo for PlayStation 4, Switch, and PC via Steam. So the update adds the new Wonderful code feature to the game. By entering the code Umbran Gift, players can unlock Wonder Bayonetta and the same set of support items that are available in the demo. Moreover, to celebrate the release of the demo, we are also revealing the code for Volume 2. By entering the code Angel Slayers, players can unlock Wonder Jean and Wonder Rodin. Oh wow, so it's not just Bayonetta and just all the Bayonetta characters.
Yeah.
Or all the playable ones at least. We'll be revealing more codes in the future, so be on the lookout for more wonderful codes. If they add more characters, that would be really cool from other Platinum games. You could add like 2B and 9S from Nier Automata, or like, I'm trying to think of another Platinum game. I'm like, I don't know, but
Vanquish,
yeah, Vanquish.
Scalebound.
Yeah, Scalebound. I didn't want to say Scalebound or any of like the Activision ones, because I'm like, you're not gonna get Optimus Prime in Wonderful 101.
We can only
as much
hope.
as I would love that. Optimus Prime and Korra and the Ninja Turtles. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a demo that gives you access to Wonder Bayonetta, and some bonuses with in-game currency and support items, and then save data from the demo can be transferred to the full version. So definitely, if you've been interested in Wonderful 101, I definitely recommend trying it out. I haven't finished it yet because the controls are kind of weird to me, but now you can check it out. Now you actually can check it out for free. Yeah. That's always good.
I finally have an excuse. Next up, we have eBay condemns PS5 photo scammers, is taking action against sellers. This is by Matt Perslow for IGN. Auction site eBay has condemned scammers listing photographs of PS5 consoles and has vowed to take action against sellers and to remove listings. In a statement to Eurogamer, eBay said, "We condemn these opportunistic sellers who are attempting to mislead other users. We are in the process of removing all listings for photos of PS5s from our marketplace and will be taking appropriate action against the sellers. These sellers are creating listings that look like they are for a PlayStation 5 console, but are actually just for printed photographs of a PS5. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I'm not even mad, I'm just impressed.
Yeah.
Listings features that look like Sony PlayStation 5 Digital Edition 1TB console wide, and and then photo between brackets.
Oh, Jason, do you mind if I move that related story up? The
Go
scalpers
ahead.
one? Because I should have put that because it's related.
And so while actually disclaiming they are selling a photograph, the bulk of the name appears like a console listing. You can click on the article for the full breakdown of the details, but yeah, scalpers suck.
Speaking
of which, scalpers continue to suck. Console scalpers who claim 1,000 next-gen consoles have orders cancelled. And somewhere in heaven, an angel is playing a harp. This is by Logan Plant for IGN. UK retailer Very has reportedly cancelled 1,000 Xbox Series X orders allegedly placed by Scalper Ring. Eurogamer reports the Scalper Group claimed this week that it had secured over 1,000 Xbox Series X consoles from a quote-unquote very well-known online retailer. This Scalper Ring reportedly charges about £30 a month to teach its members how to turn a profit in the resale market themselves. Then in an interview with Sky News, Very said that the Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 consoles listed on its website on Sunday were actually not for sale. To quote, as a result of a technical error, some people were able to place orders for PS5 and Xbox Series X consoles for a short time on Sunday, a spokesperson with Very said. The quote continues, however, these items are not on sale and affected customers have received notice that the orders have been cancelled. We apologize for the confusion caused. So there is still some justice in the world. But I'd like to add that not just scalpers are kind of scamming people out of money. My local game store is also scamming people out of money for selling PlayStation
you were tweeting
5
about
consoles
this.
for about 3 times the price.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So MSRP for a PlayStation 5 console is about $500 US. And they're selling it for $1,350 US and on pre-order, so you're not even getting it immediately. And I'm seeing different resellers selling it for $1,100 US. So next gen gaming is not gonna see me this year. We'll see if I can manage to import one for much cheaper.
I'm so sorry, Jason.
It's fine. It's fine. I should be better with my money anyway.
You can wait for Sony and Microsoft to work all the kinks out, because you don't want to end up like me and get an Xbox that doesn't really work, a Series X that doesn't work right.
Yeah, there is that. And I still have like the biggest backlog ever, like 300 plus games for PlayStation 4 and Steam. And Switch.
Mine is only getting bigger as well, so I don't know.
I'll be fine.
Why I do these things?
As long as they don't have, as long as they don't have any more sales, I'll be fine.
Alright, next story is Illusion, and this was kind of a big story this past week, just because it just kind of seemingly came out of nowhere and people didn't know about it. Illusionist Uri Geller apologizes for a lawsuit that once halted Kadabra Pokemon cards. This is from USGamer by Matthew Olson. As for whether the spoon-bending psychic type will appear in the TCG again, that's up to Nintendo. So I was confused about this, because I was like, wait, there have totally been Kadabra cards, though. So I looked it up, and all the Kadabra cards are from, like, the old
Gen
sets. 1? It was, like, the original set, and then the Team Rocket set, and maybe there was one more. And then after that, there weren't any.
So what was that about? Was it just like how is he able to stop a whole company and be like, no?
20 years ago, he filed a lawsuit against Nintendo over Kadabra because he was known for using the his spoon bending, and Geller, whose suit against Nintendo concerned Kadabra's original Japanese name, Ungerer or Ungeller. It's literally named after him, and the monster's clutch spoon. Geller's rise to television fame included multiple performances of spoon bending. Now says he regrets the whole ordeal. I'm truly sorry for what I did 20 years ago, Geller wrote on Twitter after reaching out to the gamer. Kids and grown-ups, I am releasing the ban. It's now all up to Nintendo to bring my Kadabra Pokemon card back. Geller says he reached out to Nintendo on the matter and that his message was seen by 2 representatives of the company. Nintendo and the Pokemon Company have yet to release new statements concerning Geller and Kadabra. This is interesting that it's not allowed to be on cards, but it was still allowed to be in the games.
Kind of funny also spoke about this, and I think I was
gonna say, yeah.
I think it was Imran that said, or Blessing that said, it's because his likeness was sold as an individual product that they were able to stop it from being sold. But it being part of a larger whole, like a Pokemon game, that would be a little different. It's I think that would constitute as fair use, probably. But it being a singular product, that makes it a lot difficult to
it's such an
to sell it without legal ramifications.
Contrast despite like people's different people's view of him, it's such a contrast to the Obstagoon and Gene Simmons thing, and Gene Simmons was pretty much like, oh, I'm flattered because my kids played it and like all that.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's interesting.
It varies from celebrity to celebrity, and it's kind of ironic
person to person. Yeah.
That Nintendo is also getting a taste of its own medicine because they're also super tight with their own copyright.
Yeah.
And they'll shut down anyone that gets within an inch of their copyright. So it's kind of ironic. It's funny.
Yeah, very justice for sure.
Yeah.
So there was an Abra card made years later with a special move that allowed it to evolve directly into Alakazam. Then while Abra card production also ceased, subsequent expansion sets continued to include Alakazam on special level X or EX cards that don't use the game's evolution mechanic. Yeah, because that would really mess up certain strategies, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Certain decks.
Oh well. Next up, we have Sega shows old handheld prototype publicly for the first time. This is by Brian Ashcraft for Kotaku. In 1995, Sega released the Genesis Nomad in North America. The 16-bit portable was a handheld console with an LCD screen and able to play Genesis cartridges. In a recent YouTube clip, Sega's Hiroyuki Miyazaki showed off the hardware's prototype for the first time. Here's the Nomad's final product version. The design is in tune with the home console, which makes sense as it's literally portable Genesis. The Nomad could also be plugged into TVs for big screen action, a novelty at the time. So kind of the Switch before the Switch. The prototype looked different and in my opinion much nicer. Note that the hardware is emblazoned with the name Venus, which was the code name. While Sega hoped to overtake Nintendo's handheld dominance with the Nomad, the 16-bit portable was ultimately unsuccessful and was discontinued by 1999. Click on the article for full details. So the Sega prototypes had names.
Does Sega
had names after planets or Roman gods, and that's a fun little tidbit.
Yeah, it's I love like history about like these old handhelds and prototypes because it's it's about game preservation and preserving like this thing still exists and this is how we made this. And my friend had a Sega Nomad, but I didn't know what it was, so she was like, yeah, I used to have a Sega handheld. And then I was like, a Game Gear? And she's like, no, it wasn't a Game Gear. And I was like, and then at one point she was like, Sega Nomad, and I was like, never heard of that. That doesn't sound real.
It doesn't sound real at all.
That just speaks to how successful it was. Next up, we have Super Nintendo World Osaka First Look. This is by Kuromi Mori on Twitter, of all places. And she is a reporter for Bloomberg Business. And is reporting on the Super Nintendo World. It's official. The very first Super Nintendo World is set to open on February 4th in Osaka, Japan. I got a first-hand look and can confirm the Mario Kart ride uses AR like augmented reality headsets, but is on rails, so no falling off Rainbow Road. And there's a full thread below if you want to give it a click. That would be super traumatizing, falling off Rainbow Road.
Oh god.
Oh yeah.
Just awful, like
the lawsuits.
Yeah, an amusement park in general. Oh, my life would flash before my eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, an amusement park already get.
Can you imagine being in that ride and being hit by a blue shell? Like, what kind of haptic feedback, shake, rumble thing would you experience from that?
Oh my god.
Right. Oh my god. No.
Or no. the banana.
Oh no. Good luck if you have motion sickness.
Very, like, literally, it sounds like a wild time for your tummy.
Yeah.
This looks cool though. I like when you know, whenever, you know, traveling is okay again, I'd like to go back to Japan, and Osaka will be one of my stops. Not for this specifically, for some other Universal Studios related stuff. But I mean,
surely,
adding that's cool.
This has to make its way to the States or Europe one day.
Oh yeah, it's going to. Yeah, it's supposed to. It just, that version won't be built for a while, and I'm sure it will be worse. Knowing us.
I mean, yeah. Okay.
All right. Hold on. Next story is Captain Tsubasa: Rise of New Champions version 1.10 update launches December 2nd. DLC characters Stefan Singpraiser, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, and Ricardo launch December 3rd. This is from Sal Romano over at Gematsu once again. Publisher Bandai Namco and developer Tamsoft will release the version 1.10 update for Captain Tsubasa: Rise of New Champions on December 2nd, followed by DLC characters Stefan Levin, Singpraiser Gunak, and Ricardo Espadas as part of the character pass on December 3rd, the company announced. There's also a I don't really care that much about the characters themselves because I haven't watched enough Captain Tsubasa to know who they are yet. But there's a new route for Otoma Middle School in one of the story modes. And then there is also a new assist mode. It had been already announced, but we will add assist mode, which was requested by many players. It will be applied only for episode of Tsubasa to avoid affecting on the power balance of the edited player, but you can choose between two kinds of assist, and it makes it easier to proceed with the story. Of course, if you can turn it off, you can play the same difficulty level as before. We will recommend it for people who are interested in the title but not good at playing the more action parts of the game, like me, because I was really struggling with that. And they're doing a lot of balance adjustments too.
Yeah.
This game, I wish this game got more attention.
It looks so cool. Just like the style of the characters are just so cute. I love them so much. But seeing people play it, I'm just like, I know I would not like this. Which is a pity.
Well, have you heard of Inazuma 11?
Yes.
Yeah, because like this is like the thing, a precursor to that, because Inazuma 11 gets so much crazier, and I'm like, if people think Captain Tsubasa is crazy, because I've seen like a lot of Western fans react to it who had never seen like the anime or manga before, because we don't really have it in the US, and it's more popular in other countries. It's kind of like, I was just like, yeah, wait until they see what Inazuma 11 looks like, because oh my god, playing soccer against aliens eventually.
And a nice live-action equivalent would be Shaolin Soccer, which
Shaolin Soccer,
I highly recommend.
Shaolin Soccer was actually directly inspired
Shaolin
by
Soccer
Captain
is
Tsubasa.
So crazy.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite movies.
I believe Inazuma 11 was inspired by Shaolin Soccer, so everything comes full circle.
Yeah.
I need to watch that. I need to watch that and Kung Fu Hustle again, because it's the same director?
Yeah, Stephen Chow. He's also the main character.
Yeah, because I haven't seen Shaolin Soccer since middle school.
It still holds up.
The next story is Super Bomberman R Online is now free to play. This is by Jenny Latta for Siliconera. If you have a Google Stadia account, oh well, this story just got worse. All set up, then you can immediately hop into the now free-to-play Super Bomberman R Online. Anyone can immediately go into the base version of the game and begin playing. Those who decide to pay $9.99 for the premium pack will get extra features like private matches and more playable characters. Opting in is free. Scrolling down far enough in the Stadia storefront will bring you to the Play Super Bomberman R Online for free banner. Playing the game lets you access the 8 basic bombers. You can enter any open games or private games others have created, but you can't make your own. You can access the Bomber Pass Start Pass to begin earning customization items for yourself. You can also use keyboard controls to play and don't have to have an official controller. And then you get 14 crossover characters. You have from all these different Konami games. You get the Castlevania's Alucard Bomber, Richter Bomber, and Simon Belmont Bomber, Contra's Bill Bomber and Lance Bomber, Gradius's Vic Viper Bomber, Metal Gear Solid's Raiden Bomber and Naked Snake Bomber, Princess Tomato in the Salad Kingdom's Princess Tomato Bomber, Poppin' Music's Mimi Bomber and Niami Bomber, and Silent Hill's Bubblehead Bomber, Pyramid Head Bomber, and Robbie the Rabbit Bomber. These guys were in the the original Super Bomberman R that I don't think had online, but it's a really good game that often gets overlooked. And I was like, when are they going to make a Yugi Bomber and a Kaiba Bomber, Konami? Come on. You own Yu-Gi-Oh! Give me a Bomberman with some Yugi hair. Come on.
That's definitely what the game needs.
Yes. But yeah, this is Super Bomberman R is a great game. It's just unfortunate that online is Stadia exclusive. But if you have Stadia, I do recommend checking that out because it's fun.
By all means.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Bandai Namco and Artman Animations collaborate on new cross-media IP. This is by Sal Romano for Gematsu. Artman Animations, the animation studio behind Wallace and Gromit, has entered into an agreement with Bandai Namco on a new intellectual property. The two companies previously collaborated on 1111 Memories Retold. The new collaboration is expected to extend over multiple projects, with the first project existing across multiple media. Work on the project will ramp up in early 2021, with the companies aiming to create stories tailored for current and future platforms. More information will be announced at a later date. I'm calling it now a Wallace and Gromit JRPG.
Wallace
it's a new IP. It's a new IP
people,
though.
Right?
Yeah, it's the Chicken Run people.
Oh my god.
It's a new IP, so I don't think we're going to see Wallace and Gromit appear in Tekken or anything like that. As much as I would love that.
That'd be so
Let
insane.
me dream.
Or Chicken Run, or Shaun the Sheep, or...
Listen, Tekken has a kangaroo and a panda. I'm pretty sure they can add a giant chicken.
They did the talking car commercials, too.
Yeah.
Chicken.
That's so insane. That's such a weird collab.
Yeah,
I didn't know they collabed before either. Like, what did they do in 11? I haven't played 1111 Memories Retold, but I wonder what they did for it.
It's kind of a narrative-based video game, and they did the visual direction because it looks like a claymation movie in terms of visual storytelling. That. If I'm not mistaken, I think Elijah Wood is also in this game, but I could be wrong on that. Yeah.
In 11, I think there was. I don't know if it was Elijah Wood, but I think there was.
Let's see, it's about World War
somebody
I.
being in it.
Wait, I'm looking it up.
I don't see
Elijah Wood.
Oh, I don't see anything there.
No, I don't see anything either. So it's probably another game I'm thinking of.
I know there's somebody in it who I was looking up this game a while ago, and I was like, yeah, no, Elijah Wood is in it.
Okay. My knack for useless trivia strikes again.
I mean, he was also the voice of Spyro the Dragon for a time.
Yeah, that's true.
Wait, Elijah Wood was the voice of Spyro?
Yeah, for a little while.
What?
Before
and then
it was Skylanders, I think.
Sparks the Dragonfly, And then Sparks the Dragonfly went through like 3 different voice actors that included like David Spade and Wayne Brady.
If you guys could see my face right now, I'm like going insane. Oh my god. That's wild.
I believe it's the Legend of Spyro series, which had like 3 games on, was it PS2? I know the first game was on
PS2, GameCube, and Xbox.
Because that was, and it was before Skylanders. So it was like the first Spyro reboot.
Oh my god. I'm like having a big like galaxy brain moment. I thought I was gonna get some sleep tonight, but instead I'm just gonna like hole in on all of like Elijah Wood info I can.
Yeah.
Alright. So next story is Monster Hunter Rise devs talk global matchmaking, pause button, mantles, text chat, and more. This is by Grayson Morales. Oh, our buddy over at Twinfinite.
Yeah.
Capcom is set to release the next mainline Monster Hunter title exclusively on Nintendo Switch in March 2021, titled Monster Hunter Rise. Thanks to a new developer Q&A with Capcom courtesy of Gaijin Hunter on YouTube, we've learned a couple of new details that are sure to be exciting for the hardcore fans out there. One of the first questions that Gaijin asked the Monster Hunter Rise devs is whether or not there would be global matchmaking, which would allow for Japanese players to team up with players in the West. Capcom confirmed that the matchmaking will be done similarly to Monster Hunter World and its expansion Iceborne. So yes, players from all over the world will be able to squad up no matter the location. That's good, because one of my friends who plays Monster Hunter usually gets the Japanese version, because he's learning Japanese, and we couldn't do that with Generations Ultimate. We tried. There have been past Monster Hunter titles, such as Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate, that did not support global matchmaking, so it's neat to see Capcom treating this entry with as much support as any other mainline title, even if it's a Switch exclusive. Well, as far as we know, there was that leak that said there may be a PC port coming. Another interesting tidbit of info that came out of the interview is the confirmation that there will be a pause button for offline quests. Monster Hunter World and Iceborne do not allow for any sort of pausing, whether you're playing a quest single player or online. Good. Pause button is good. This is great
Always
to see, as it can be frustrating when you need to stop playing for a minute and the quest clock will continue to run, which can cause the quest failure or even death. And for those that dislike the mantle system from World/Iceborne, the devs confirm that they will not be making a return in Monster Hunter Rise. There could be a chance that they come back in a future entry, but for now, the team is leaving them out. Some fans found the mantles to be too overpowered and would also cover up your armor when warm, which was not fun for those who worked hard to get the perfect look for their hunter. Mantles have helped me a lot, so I'm a little disappointed in that, but I can see what they mean. No Monster Hunter Stories 2 news, unfortunately. I mean, I'm super excited for Rise, but of course, I'm more excited for Stories 2 because you know me.
Yeah, you gotta have those games. Next up, we have a new scientific study aims to learn more about why players do or don't invert controls. This is by Matthew Olson for USGamer. To invert or not to invert? That is a question that has torn apart gaming community since the dawn of analog sticks and 3D console games. It's a subject with almost as many plausible grounded theories for the split in control schemes as there are fiery opinions on who's right or wrong. I see what you did there. Now, after an article on the subject in The Guardian caused a stir, researchers are looking to the question for new answers on visual perception. After publishing a piece about the y-axis inversion, one that didn't attempt to argue for one side of the split or the other, Guardian video games correspondent Keith Stewart says the UK paper received hundreds of comments on the matter. That fervor caught the attention of Dr. Jennifer Corbett, one of the sources interviewed for the piece. Now, Corbett and Dr. Jaap Munnicki are beginning a new study at Brunel University London Visual Perception and Attention Lab that's all about control inversion. The study, Corbett says, is a good fit for the lab while the pandemic makes in-person EEG and eye tracking experiments a no-go. I've had my scalp gooped up for an electrode cap, and it isn't something I'd want either to do either as a researcher or participant in these times. The study won't resolve around observation of in-game behavior, nor do the researchers think any findings will apply solely to the games. Click on the article for a full breakdown, and I can also attest to that. You do not want the scalp gooped up thing. It ruins your hair, and don't.
So I always thought the inverted controllers. I always thought inverted controllers was like a left-handed thing, but apparently it's not.
No.
I mean,
it's
as I found
more
out,
of a logic
because I know
thing.
people who play inverted.
Yeah, I think it's like with like how people are comfortable playing. Like my last roommate, when I lived over back in LA, I played normally, but they had to play inverted. Particularly, I don't know why exactly, but it helped them with motion sickness for them personally.
It's how they perceive
like,
motion.
I can't do. Because like I cannot do inverted. Like when down is up and up is down, I'm like no, I can't. What?
It's
I like cannot do inverted.
It just makes sense for them. I think it's also a thing you experience when you operate cameras or a flight stick. It just makes more sense to have it inverted. Who knows? Next up, we have Amazon now arranging PS5 deliveries for customers with missing consoles. This is by Matt Purslow for IGN. Amazon has begun to email UK customers who were sent alternate items instead of PS5 consoles on launch day, telling them that a new PS5 has been secured and can be dispatched within 14 days. In an email received by a writer who previously investigated a missing PS5 situation in the UK for IGN, Amazon said, "We are pleased to confirm that we will be able to secure a PS5 for you as a replacement for the order that you didn't receive." You can click on the article for full details, but that's good news. Because nothing can be more frustrating than having your hopes set on a next-gen console, especially during these times, and then being slightly disappointed. So it's nice of Amazon to make good on the promise of delivering. Okay.
Yeah.
Next up is all you.
Alright, so Siren and Gravity Rush creator Keiichiro Toyama leaves Sony Interactive Entertainment Japan studio, establishes Bokeh. Like, nobody knows how to pronounce this quite right.
Oh, Bokeh?
Yeah,
it's Bokeh. Yeah, it's Bokeh.
Because I've heard some people say Boka and some people say Bokeh, because in Japanese E is but it's Bokeh. Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of a photography term.
It's the little like blurry lights.
Yeah. This is by Romano of Gematsu. Keiichiro Toyama, creator of the Silent Hill, Siren, and Gravity Rush series, left Sony Interactive Entertainment Japan studio and established the independent Bokeh game studio on August 13th. Kazunobu Sato and Junya Okura, who have worked alongside Toyama for many years, also left Japan studio and joined Toyama as core members of the new studio. Toyama is the chief executive officer, while Sato is the chief operating officer, and Okura is the chief technology officer. The studio's name, Bokeh, is an English term originated from the Japanese word bokeh, which refers to the camera blur technique. This Japanese method of expression has grown to be used worldwide. Bokeh Game Studio defines its business as development of software for console and PC and aims to take on many challenges in the future regardless of platform. And there's a message from Toyama, and he says he wants players to enjoy games built from ideas with originality, and secondly, I want to enjoy making those games. This is all there was to it. And day by day living in these times, I have felt the need for a substantial change to pursue my own ambitions. This is why I have decided to become independent. In an interview with Famitsu, Toyama confirmed that development on the studio's first title, an original action-adventure game that will release on various platforms, is currently underway. The scale of the game is similar to the games Toyama has created in the past. Development is expected to take 2 or 3 years. Asked about the franchises he worked on at Sony Interactive Entertainment Japan Studio, Toyama said that while Bouquet Game Studio will not be able to work on those properties on its own accord, he hopes to continue his good relationship with Sony Interactive Entertainment to possibly realize new movements in those franchises in the future if both parties agree to it. So, I love the first Gravity Rush. 2, I might need to replay. Because 2 I didn't like as much as the first one.
Okay,
but
what did you like so much about Gravity Rush?
I played it a long time ago, so it's hard to. Well, the music for one, because it's one of my favorite composers, Kohei Tanaka, who is also the composer for One Piece and several Gundam series like G Gundam, among other things. And just the feeling of I would just go around and collect were they gems?
Yeah,
just like,
more or less.
I would just spend time just flying around listening to the jazz music. And I also like how it does you're like falling, but you're like flying, but you're falling because you're like manipulating gravity. I thought that concept was cool.
Yeah.
It is a very fun game. Gravity Rush was actually one of the cosplays I did when I was still cosplaying a lot. I did Cat's Catwoman DLC outfit, which is really fun. It's such a beautiful game, and I'm really excited to see what Bouquet comes up with such a freaking power team of just so many people. It's gonna be a great time.
Yeah, specifically that they're doing an action-adventure game. I'm like, okay, so this is going to be, hopefully, similar to Gravity Rush, hopefully not in, I don't know what I'm trying to say. In spirit?
No, but I get it. You want something, you want something fresh and different, and I think this is the studio that's going to deliver on that.
And
100%.
I feel like the Gravity Rush games have gotten pretty overlooked. Despite a lot of people saying how great they are, they just that's just what happened.
Yeah, they're still sleepers. I feel like they're still sleepers to me. They're definitely part of greatest hits, which is that really a sleeper? But even with conversations I have with friends who aren't really into the whole J game space, they still know some J games. But I wish more people knew about Gravity Rush. It's so much fucking fun. It's so pretty.
I think the biggest barrier would be the controls, because people might be a bit squeamish with if they suffer from motion sickness and the camera shifting from perspective so often and so
Gravity Rush VR, baby.
No, I don't think you want that. But yeah, I think that's the biggest hurdle. If they can somehow manage to nail that feeling for everyone, then I think it'll be a lot more accessible.
Alright, so our last story before I get to our main topic is Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town Retail Editions detail for North America and Europe. This is once again by Romano over at Gematsu. Publishers Xseed Games and Marvelous Europe have detailed the retail editions of Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town for North America and Europe. In North America, the standard edition of Story of Seasons Pioneers of Olive Town will be available for pre-order soon at participating retailers and the Xseed Game Store for $49.99, while a limited premium edition will also be available for $59.99. The latter includes a retail copy of the game, a 2.5 by 4 inch pocket plushie of title mascot Buffy the Buffalo, and a 13.5 by 24 inch cloth poster featuring the full key illustration for the game. They are really... First it was what the Friends of Mineral Town remake had, the strawberry cow, and then this has a little buffalo.
The animals on there are so good. They all look like really fancy bread. That's what I think of them when I think of... Yeah, they look like the brioche bread. That's what they look like to me.
Oh my god. I see it.
Fancy bread.
In Europe, the standard edition of Story Story of Seasons Pioneers of All of Time will be available at participating retailers for $44.99. Pounds, euros, something like that. While the limited deluxe edition will also be available. The latter includes a retail copy of the game, an A5 notebook containing 140 pages filled with character art and space to document your adventure, 10 trading cards that feature character bios and helpful hints for the different marriage candidates, and an A3 poster featuring exclusive artwork from Igusa Matsuyama, all packaged inside a collector's box with the same artwork featured on the poster. It does not get a plushie though, so I think we got the better one this time. It comes out for Switch February 25th, 2021 in Japan, and March 23rd in North America and Europe. Man, March is just stacked with Switch games.
Too much. Too many.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I wonder why. I've never really been a Story of Seasons fan. Not that I have anything against them. I just never really been into them. But that's cool. I'm sure our friend...
If you enjoyed Animal Crossing, I think you'll find something to love here.
I'm sure our friend Nicole B will be streaming that when it comes out.
Most definitely.
Alright, so today, the main topic, we're... I didn't know what exactly to put, but I'm like, yeah, we could have Monty talk a little bit about... You could talk a little bit about your Yakuza Like a Dragon article, and just... I don't know.
I have no idea what to talk about. Let's put our guest on the spot.
Yeah.
It's a funky subject. It's kind of hard to kind of like put it in like one little like jar, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy, where do I even start? Okay, so
you don't have to keep it too light, but we're not really that heavy of a podcast either.
Yeah, so no, for sure. I guess starting off, well. I really, really do enjoy the Yakuza games a lot. Everything about them is just really over the top, and that's something that I kind of miss as... I don't want to say as a child, but it is, like, in a sense, very nostalgic for me, because I said it earlier in this podcast that they remind me a lot of novellas. And it's something that I watched a lot as a kid with my mom, whether it was Univision or Telemundo. Like, it was always there. And it packs on so much story. And I think that's why I'm so obsessed with them. Other than, like, obviously the very good-looking men of the fucking video games. But,
there it is.
It's the stories that, like, keep me there. They're so crazy. So, when... Like a Dragon came out, when I got the code to Like a Dragon, it was really like a surreal moment. I was just like, okay, like, well, let's see what this is about, because I'm hearing like it's a different combat system, it's a new guy. Like, as much as I was excited, I was very freaking scared of like, what if I don't like this? What if I do not like this guy? What if I do not like turn-based? Because I'm not really a turn-based girl. That requires like a bit too much thinking. I like running around and like hoping for the best.
See, I'm a little bit of the opposite depending on game. So like this is like, I was like, yeah, this Yakuza is the one I'm most interested in.
That's good. So I guess starting off with like kind of running down with my interview. So I talk about how wrong I was, kind of having those, I guess, insecurities about the game. I love Ichiban with like my whole heart. He is
he's great.
He is such a great character.
Have you been playing dubbed or subbed?
With reviewing it, I had to play it dubbed because I had to finish it. But now I'm playing it subbed. And
because like, because like I'm playing it dubbed because I feel like, especially on the internet, a lot of English voice actors still get a bad rep, even though they do a great performance a lot of the time. And some voice actors are kind of, unfortunately, very questionable these days. But anyway, so Kaiji Tang, the voice of Ichiban, he actually does Twitch streams. So like, and he doesn't get as many viewers than I expected. So I went in there and be like, hey, I really like your performance. He was like, oh, thanks, man. I was like, oh, cool. I don't know. I just feel like feel like when if there's a dub, I like of a Japanese game, and the voice acting is passable, which we do get. I do think we get better voice acting than we used to most of the time. But I just wanted to mention, like, I'm just always curious whether people play dubbed or subbed or try one and then do the other.
Yeah. I try for both because I like just like hearing it, especially when like I told you guys earlier that like I just have like really bad ADHD issues. So when I need to like really focus, that dub helps me immensely. And also like with dubbing now, I feel like a lot of dubbing now, even in anime and games, like it's pretty good. I think people still sort of bag on of like how it was in like the early 2000s when they just like needed anyone to like translate it to get it over here and localized.
And like that's the thing too, because you go back to some of those, and some of those are actually pretty solid, but then other ones are just really not.
Yeah, for sure. But nowadays it's pretty solid. They do very good work in finding people, and Ichiban's English voice is very nice for sure. But yeah, I really enjoyed Ichiban. The turn-based, so I really liked it because it did make me think, which I don't like doing in video games. Again, I just like vibing. And hoping for the best, but kind of thinking about like what to do next and like seeing like who to switch out for. That's something that, you know, is a very Pokemon thing to do, a very Dragon Quest thing to do, and I really haven't done that in a very long time, or haven't done it in a way where it's just like it wasn't exhausting. And doing it with this game, like it was always fun going into battles. I love the game overall. It was so good, and something that, you know, they touched on without, you know, spoiling parts of the game is that they did touch on immigration in the game. And during, I think I was playing that like end of October. And that was when like kind of the big uproars with like the Biden-Trump elections were going on. And it made me really super aware of like where I stand in this country. Because I'm sure I always yell about it. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but like I can't vote here, and I can't leave the States here because of my immigration status. So being really aware of that during that time, especially when it is such an open season on bigotry and racism, it is very hard to kind of leave the house like super confident and like, and then with the pandemic on top of all that, it wasn't feeling good. Like I was very down. It was very hard to kind of keep confident of like, am I like doing the right choice of like staying here? Like I have an opportunity a lot of people do not have, but also like, do I want to keep getting treated like shit? So it was really eye-opening seeing, because there is an immigration problem in Japan, in many scales, especially with like Korean citizens who are Japanese citizens but with Korean descent, kind of not being recognized, and also like the Muslim community there. It's a really big problem, and that kind of highlighting was just sort of a mirror back to me of how I feel, because they do touch on like illegal immigration and like what people have to go through to survive. And that sort of just was like, whoa, this is bringing me back too much to my childhood. Oh no. So it was a lot of like reflecting. It felt sort of like a therapy session for me. At least chapters 1 through 8, I believe. And then once you get to chapter 9, it's all, you know, the good old Yakuza stuff from there. But it was really, for sure. I can't wait till you guys get to chapter 12. Please let me know how you guys feel about that chapter.
Because when you, this morning or this afternoon rather, I got to break a wrecking ball machine by slapping it with money.
I mean, as you do.
As you do, the only way.
The only way.
What's up?
Is any of this what you experienced a bit too close to home? Like, did you ever have a moment where you thought, okay, this is kind of tough for me, I need to put it aside?
Oh, Jason, I was once there's a certain blonde character who works along with like the immigrants in that area, and kind of she sort of talks about where they stand and how, like, if they go back home, they really don't have anything. They're more in danger of going back home than they are of here. And that, like, made me cry. I, like, started crying, and I was like, okay, I'm supposed to have this review out in, like, a couple days, but, like, I think I need to sleep. I can't do this right now. That was a really, really big moment, because it was just, like, that's sort of how I feel. But also, like, it's very just like thinking about like, but also like this is how I feel currently, like where I live and where I am, like this is the place that's dangerous. It was very, very hard. It was a lot of conversations with myself, and with the pandemic and the elections. It was a wild game to play during that time for sure. But it really made me appreciate a lot of the working class people that I grew up with that helped me and my mom get back on our feet every time we fell down. It was sort of the people in that same situation, whether it be immigration or whether it be just like poverty or homelessness. They were always there to help me. No matter how little they had, they always made space for me and my mom. And that's something that like they reminded me a lot of the game, and that's something that, helped me feel better when I was just so like, whoa, what am I doing here? Yakuza Like a Dragon really, really did a great job on just comforting me. Whether it was breaking me apart and then putting me back together, they did a really, really great job on that, and that's something that, I'm very happy to feel.
Yeah, it's so interesting how Yakuza did, because you mentioned homelessness. It's so interesting to me how it puts it into a certain perspective with like homelessness in Japan, because like when you like, I've been to Japan, and like compared to the US, like homelessness is a bit different, or I don't want to say different, but like it's like
it's probably not as visible as in the US.
I'm sure it depends on where you are, because like like for example, I was in Kyoto and Hiroshima and Tokyo, and as far as I know, I didn't see anybody, but like they're around, I'm sure, but like there wasn't any kind of like camp like there is in Yokohama, like a homeless encampment or anything. So like is that the right word? I don't know, like so like I don't know, I feel like and the way it's like look, like these people, most of these people, they're not they're not in the situation because they want to be. They're in the situation because something happened that caused them to not be able to go back, or like a specific, like it's a situational thing. It's very empathetic to that, and I really appreciate that, and also the fact that it's about like it's very empathetic to like the plight of like how like the people who work at soaplands are viewed too.
It very much like humanizes like the working class and sex workers and like homeless folks. They do so good at that.
I think that's really interesting, because I feel like one, I don't know, I'm sure some indie games have done that, but I feel like Western games haven't touched that as much, which is I'm a little surprised that like a AAA Japanese game would be the one to touch on it that much first, but I am also glad that it did. I don't know.
Yeah, like I didn't expect for me and my immigration like internal issues to be mirrored by a Japanese RPG with hot men and crazy side missions. Like that is something I didn't see with this game, and that's why it like surprised me so much. Usually when there's like issues with like the working class, it's usually like beat 'em ups or like like Street Fighter 4 for example, spoke to a lot of like
I was gonna say
yeah so it's Yeah, it was a wild game to experience that.
Well, your take on it and your testimonial is inching me closer to the buy now button on Amazon.
Do it.
If I had the time and the space, I definitely would.
If only you had an Xbox and I could throw you my copy, since my Xbox doesn't work, my physical copy, since that one doesn't.
Yeah, but it's so amazing to hear that. I think a lot of us were kind of worried about this iteration, this sequel specifically, because it moved away from what we traditionally view as a Yakuza game. And it's so wonderful to see and read and hear people talk about how it resonated with them, like Michael Hyam over at GameSpot, and Liana Ruppert at Game Informer, who also spoke about the homelessness topic within the game. It's like, it's such a great thing to see, and it kind of might be a lot of people's game of the year so far. And in the thing that's 2020, that's really surprising.
Yeah, no, for sure. I didn't expect to love this game or see myself as much as I did. Because with the other games, like, they were really, really fun, but I never saw myself. I'm there playing this really, like, like, for lack of a better words, to just, like, misogynistic terms, it's just, a manly man. And... Toshihiro, he just said, like, nah, let's humanize the working class. Let's make the players feel bad a little bit. And I was like, oh, he did that for sure.
Because, like, what was... Ian was saying, because we had Ian on our podcast a couple weeks ago, and he was saying that, like, I can't remember if this was on the podcast or on one of his streams, but he was saying that, like, Kiryu and... Majima are, like, kind of less relatable because of how kind of ridiculous they are. Like, how Kiryu is a bit more, like, stoic, and I don't know what Majima is like that much, but, like, Ichiban can be seen as more relatable by more people because he's just like a big goofball with, like, kind of like a good heart or something, I guess.
Literal himbo.
I think
he's a himbo. It's so good.
Yeah. I think the difference lies in Ichiban is someone who has experienced failures and has that anxiety within him. It's not something he masks with bravado or machismo as Kiryu does, or where it totally overtakes you as it does with Goro Majima. Ichiban is someone who's not afraid to wear his heart on his sleeve. Yeah. And I think that resonates with a lot of people. And us being basically boomer gamers now, I don't think.
Hey, don't. I don't know if I'd use that term.
We have a lot of the same anxieties as Ichiban. Like, we're probably not where we want to be in life, or we've suffered so much, and we still persevered through it all. And I think it just resonates so well with people.
There was like a side conversation that kind of surprised me, where I was just like walking around a park and said, something Psycho said to Ichiban was like something like, what did he say? Something about, like, calling Ichiban girly or something, and Adachi, of all people, the ex-cop and the oldest dude in the party, I think, was like, hey, you don't say stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa. And then, like, I know it was played for laughs, but, like, the way it played out was really interesting. But then she was like, okay, like, and then, like, what she said after turned out sounding meaner, but, like,
yeah, it was like not a term that was, like, really pointed at men, just as, like, his intelligence.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like, oh, I'm sorry you're such a loser or something. Or, like, I forgot what it was exactly, but it's just like, I like, even if it was played for laughs, like, it felt like it still had, like, a greater point that, like, these people are, like, these are people who, like, have gone through a lot with, like, in like, Japanese society specifically, and they're trying to be, I think, like, at least who I have in the party now is, like, they're rather open-minded, and, like, the thing with stuff in in Japan is, and I don't want to speak on this because I'm not like an expert on this or by any means, but like again, they're like it is like they have a very conservative government,
conservative outlook.
Yeah,
for sure, 100%.
I mean, which is different, and not like to say it's different than like American conservative. I mean, not super different, but like it's not 1-to-1 or anything like that.
It kind of materializes itself in different ways that's specific to them as a culture.
Yeah, but like it's very interesting to see a game like I mean, there are plenty of JRPGs that do that, but just the way Yakuza does it and the way that it's, you know, it's actually set in a modern area of city in like the Tokyo area.
Yeah, it like strip all the turn-based combat away from it all and the zany hijinks, and it's pretty realistic.
Yeah.
And, I think that helps it a lot. Of course, when you see a guy in a full armored suit with a magic wand, wink wink, you kind of start to question yourself. But hey, video games got video games.
Yeah.
That was really fun to talk about. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I definitely advise our listeners to give Monty's review a read.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a really interesting read.
And also play Yakuza Like a Dragon, because it's probably, like I kept saying, like, oh, it's probably going to be my game of the year, and that was just based on being inspired by Dragon Quest, because I've become a pretty big Dragon Quest fan in the past few years. But now it's like, as I've been playing it, it's like, oh, it's going to be my game of the year, but for a lot more reasons than I initially expected.
That's good to hear.
Okay, so before we go, hold on, let me check the time here. Oh, yeah,
we're still good for a little bit.
We're going a little over, but yeah. So we have one listener question that I found from I think this is your friend Jason.
Yes, correct.
He said, "What is the best Final Fantasy game, and why isn't Final Fantasy VIII?" One, I haven't played that many Final Fantasy games. I've played 7, 15. 7 Remake, and the base game of 14, and some of Dragon Song in 14. So I don't know what to make of that.
Monty, do you have any experience with the Final Fantasy series?
I've played 3. I've played 10. I've played 13, and I've played 15.
Okay.
And what do you like the best out of those ones?
I think my favorite one out of all of them, I think, has to be 10, but I think that's because I have a very a very godly love for Yuna specifically. I love her and want to protect her with all my heart. 13 I want to like so bad, but I love Lightning. She's very cool, but I wish she had more emotion, and that is my issue.
Yeah.
I think those emotions are spread out over the sequel, so to have a complete overview of who Lightning is as a character, you'd probably have to play through the whole trilogy.
Oh my god, that's so many
There have been rumors.
Yeah,
there have been rumors that they're coming to Game Pass at some point, so there's that.
Side eye, hello.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
I think my favorite out of all of them has to be 10. Also, Waka's in it, and he's very pretty, and that's just...
Also, I always forget his name.
John DiMaggio.
Big Cat Man.
Bender from Futurama.
No, who's the big cat guy from
Final Fantasy X?
I always forget his name.
The blue guy?
Yes.
Jess literally sent me a photo, and I don't remember he existed, but he's also very pretty.
He's my favorite, and part of why, like, I haven't played that much of 10, because every time I pick it up, I kind of, like, I play a little bit, and I'm like, I don't know if I like this, and I go play something else, but I'll give it, like, another chance at some point.
Ronso.
Kimari? Yeah, so he's part of the reason that my character in Final Fantasy XIV is a Hrothgar. Because I'm like, I want to be a big cat man.
Batman can be handsome. That's fine.
I mean, sure. Let's see. I have played all the mainline Final Fantasy games. Haven't beaten them all. I haven't played 11. Let's see. My favorites are Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 9, which we speak about a lot on this podcast. I begrudgingly call it one of my favorites because it's my ex's favorite.
Is that the one with the Vieras?
No, that's 12, right?
Yeah, that's 12.
9 is the one with it's the last one that was for PS1.
Vivi,
it has
it's the one. Yeah, it's the one with Vivi and like the character with the tongue. Okay.
Tongue?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say
What's
tail.
her name again?
I was like, tongue? That's an interesting route.
So, we talk about it a lot on the podcast. It's my ex's favorite Final Fantasy, and that's why I don't want to call it my favorite Final Fantasy.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jason. I'll be quiet.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I have to admit, it's one of the best in the series. And
Hironobu Sakaguchi said it himself in that Pro ZD video, if you've seen that. The one
he was also bribed in that video.
I know.
So my favorites are 4 and 15. 4 because it's the first time I really experienced a story with depth. Of a character struggling with his or her actions. Like the depth of so many people are on Cecil's hands, and he has to struggle with that, and he questions what is the role of duty in life.
He's actually the reason. He's the reason for my class in Final Fantasy 14. I haven't played 4, but I know enough about it.
Like, how do I reconcile trying to be a good person and still having so much blood on my hands?
Yeah.
How do I become a better person? How do I make sure that this doesn't happen to anyone else? And I love that internal struggle, and also the romance and the kind of romance triangle they have going on with Kane and Cecil being on the opposite ends. And I just love the ornate designs by Yoshitaka Amano, which makes Cecil my favorite character. I have a statue. I don't know, statue. Like I have a figurine of him on my shelf here.
Love it.
So I'm definitely a Cecil boy. And 15 because it's a story about bros being bros. And it's the first Final Fantasy where Final Fantasy has managed to visualize or make the gameplay match the visuals of Advent Children. And that has been a goal for Square Enix for the longest time, and it has been a thing I've wanted to see realized within the video game for the longest time. And them being able to do it, and me shedding a tear once or twice near the end, definitely cements it as one of my favorite games. And I don't really care for how much hate it gets, but I really love it. And Final Fantasy 13 also has a warm place in my heart because it led to me getting a girlfriend, and it's something I'll definitely never forget. It's also the ex that has Final Fantasy 9 as her favorite.
Oh,
so
what a bittersweet memory. I'm so sorry, Jason.
No, I mean, Final Fantasy is something that'll stick with me forever, for good or bad. But yeah, I love the romance, I love the adventure, and I love the epicness of Final Fantasy. But as to say what would make a Final Fantasy the best Final Fantasy, it depends on you as a person. What resonates with you?
Yeah.
I feel like people for Final Fantasy 8 specifically, it's like I always see people arguing on Twitter like 6 is best, no 7 is best, no and the Final Fantasy 8 people is like I like 8 the best, but I'm gonna stay over here because I know I'm gonna get attacked for that.
I think Final Fantasy 8 hit where a lot of people were transitioning from prepubescence to adolescence, and Final Fantasy 8 is, I think, the only game that really struggles with that. With how do you, as an adolescent, grow into becoming an adult? How do you struggle with romantic feelings? How do you struggle
I'm gonna
with your
check
larger
this
role
out.
in the world?
This sounds wild.
Yeah. And I think that's why it resonates so much with those people.
It's
like
on-
I know Greg.
8 Remastered is on Game Pass, I think.
Yeah, it's also on Switch. It's on Steam.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
It's almost everywhere. You can probably play it on a toaster. It's kind of esoteric in its gameplay design, but if you push through, you can really find an adorable game within it all. But I think it depends on person to person what resonates with you. Like for me, growing up as a religious person, religion is a big thing, so that's why 15 with being a Messiah parable is really big for me. And I'm a big romance nut. Like I like romance. I sometimes attempt to write romance and romantic poetry. So Final Fantasy 4, Final Fantasy 9, Final Fantasy 10, anything that has a bit of romance is just my jam. So it really depends on who you are as a person. And of course you have the battle systems. You have so many variety, and it if you want to take a measured approach, if you want to take a tactical approach, you're pretty well served within the series. And I also need to make special mention of Final Fantasy 12 because that gets overlooked a lot, and I really enjoy my time with it. But yeah, it really depends, I like to say.
I'm not sure what my favorite of the ones I've played. Well, I guess I'm kind of biased because my favorite isn't a mainline one, and I think Jason knows which one.
You can. It still matters. It still matters.
You know that World of Final Fantasy is probably my favorite because that is that is Final Fantasy Pokemon.
Hey man, more power to you. I mean, a lot of people love Final Fantasy Tactics as their favorite, and
I still didn't play that. I have it.
It's all valid. It's all valid. Like,
But the reason I like World of Final Fantasy the best is that the story is just kind of like it's kind of not to get into spoilers too much, but for a while it's just kind of like, oh, whatever, this is the story, and then it does a thing where it's like, wait, like it gets to a point near the end where you're like, wait, that's what these characters, huh? It just kind of surprises you with
while we're on stories, one quick observation.
You know what I'm talking about, right, Jason?
Yeah. One quick observation I have to share is, I don't know if you all saw the movie Constantine, but
I've seen a little
Final
bit
Fantasy
of it.
13 and Constantine, the villains of both properties have the same motivation.
Whoa, what?
Yeah. It's basically Angel saying, you know what, I'm fed up with this life. I just want my dad back, and let's just end it all.
That sounds insane. I love it.
Yeah.
I guess I need to have another reason to watch Constantine again now.
Oh, it's the underrated classic.
Okay, I think that's gonna be it for this week. Unless either of you want to bring up anything else real quick.
I guess I'll continue to plug in Uppercut here.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So if you guys ever want to read stuff about diversity, inclusion, stories from just a lens from a marginalized community of people, definitely check out uppercut.com. We are currently gearing up for Game of the Year letter series, where we take two people who have the same Game of the Year and have a conversation through articles. And mine for next month isn't what you expect, but I'm very excited to talk about it. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Everyone has very different games and very different opinions, and I'm really happy that we're doing it this year.
I love that tease. Okay. Special shout out to Monty for being our guest this week.
Yes.
She has been wonderful.
Where can people follow you on social media and such?
You guys can catch me being annoying on Twitter and Instagram at Fried Monty. Those are the only things I really use, and that's it.
Okay.
Right.
So you heard her. Keep an eye out on her work and Uppercutcrit.
Yeah. I meant to do housekeeping at the beginning, but I forgot. We're not sure if we're doing the podcast next week because the Game Awards airs during our regular recording time, and we might be doing a Parallax Reacts stream with some other Parallax Media folks if I can manage to get it all together. And if not, we might just record a different day. We haven't decided yet.
But you'll hear it soon.
Yeah, well, just keep an eye on the Twitter, especially if I should have said this at the beginning because I don't know if people have listened to the whole thing, but yeah. So you'll see it on Twitter even if you haven't gotten this far, so it doesn't matter. So you'll know. We'll keep you posted.
Okay. So for Erroll, for me, for Monty, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, remember to
probably
always remember stay safe. Wash your hands, wear a mask, all that good stuff. Play video games. Clifford the Big Red Dog is a kaiju, and apparently the Mothman has a great butt.
Yeah, you heard it here first. You heard it here first, people. Okay, bye now.
Bye, matane.